the different parts of it. But we're going to start with the Makita. So these are our two nicer chainsaws that we have. First piece is obviously the chain. So getting a little closer to the chain, you guys can look at any of these. Just begin by getting closer and identifying the cutting surface. So you'll notice that the chain alternates the cutting surface. So the cutting edge is going to be this outside and this top edge, and the sides of that change. So it goes here on the left side, here on the right side, here on the left side. So those are the cutting surfaces. And the chain's always going to travel away from the chainsaw on top and back from the bottom. So you notice here we got one back that we'll work on fixing today. This one actually, the chains are on backwards, so it's not going to be doing. It's still going to be grinding at the wood, but it's not going to be cutting it. You're going to be working really hard to make that one work. So chain, the bar is the piece of metal that the chain rides on, rides along and spins along. There like that. Our crew always called them dogs, so I finally found another name for them that's a little bit more official. Bucking spikes. So these are really here for the use of cutting. As we talked about, cutting only up to half of the length of the bar. You want to focus on this area closest to the chainsaw body for your cutting as well. And so these bucking spikes, you really want to dig into whatever you're cutting and let the saw just pivot, dig into and pivot, and we'll get into that technique more, but just letting the chainsaw cut easily, not putting extra work into it, and needs help really to pivot and proceed in your cut. The other nice feature on the Makitas is your hand guard, which is also a brake. So these, you'll notice, have the hand guards that are not a brake. But this one here, brake is engaged. It's got a little diagram here. And we'll take one apart and you can see how that works. The idea further behind the placement of that brake is if you are cutting and you happen to be cutting out closer to the end of the bar, that chain's coming around that end and there's a chance for it to get caught and kick back. So if you hear the term kick back, that's what's happening. If you're cutting, it's at a slow rate and it catches some hardwood, it can jump back at you. Well, this brake here will engage when that kickback happens. So the placement of that is what it originally is from. But you do have to be aware of it and, make sure it's disengaged when you're trying to run the chainsaw. There is the oil. So the oil for the chainsaw is for lubricating the chain on the bar. This is just traveling in a small slot. So the oil reservoir is going to have a cap here and here. This one's got a nice reservoir window so you can see that it's got a place where you can read the amount of oil in there. And it's got a minimum line, so that gives you a good gauge of when you need to fill it up. And then on these, you're going to actually open them to actually see inside. But those distribute into the body of the chainsaw and out to the chain on the bar.
Yeah, and there are differences between the Makitas and these. So these are, the lubricant is pumped, and these are just gravity fed. So as the chain runs, the oil will come out. So you'll notice maybe it'll drip a little bit more there on the less expensive ones than the
these
big
are
Makitas.
Really just plastic reservoirs with a crack at the bottom. So it's also good to think about when transporting these. Feel free to grab a rag or some cardboard because they'll leak oil. Talking about the oil too, we have particular oil that goes with this chainsaw. You'll see the brand names here, go with the brand names here. And I'm pretty sure you can double check with us on this one, but I think this one uses a couple different ones. But in general, when you check it out, grab the oil with it, grab your personal protective equipment with it, and get all those pieces. Back to the parts of it, you'll notice that Makitas have a nice loop bar, a nice full-size loop bar. So if you do happen to be cutting in this position, it gives you a nice balance place. This handle is going to be the balance point on all these chainsaws. So as you're using it, you're kind of thinking your trigger finger is the main place, but you want to make sure that you keep a solid grip on this main grip bar there, because if you are here and you let go here, the chainsaw doesn't move at all. If you're here and you let go there,